Today on Dirt Nation Off-Road, we are recapping an amazing 2023. We are looking forward also to 2024 because we got some great things on the way. We are kicking off a new series. We got some new logos, new merch, and new runs coming your way. Let's get started. Hey, what's up guys? Welcome back to another episode of Dirt Nation Off-Road, and today we are kicking off 2024 with our New Year's special. Happy New Year, guys. Hope you guys have enjoyed your years. Hopefully your holidays went well. If I haven't spoken to you guys directly, Merry Christmas. I don't know if I dropped anything for Christmas. I don't remember, but Merry Christmas nonetheless. Now, today, what are we going to be doing? Well, we're going to go and just do a little bit of a recap of 2023. It's been an amazing year. Every year's an amazing year. That's just kind of the beauty of the things that we get to do here at Dirt Nation Off-Road. It's always a good time. Sure, some are better than others. Some moments are better than others. But regardless, 2023 was a blast, and I just want to do a quick recap of it. I usually like to do this every year, although last year I didn't end up doing one, looking at last year's videos. I didn't really get to do that, but hey, we get busy, and that's how it happens sometimes. So in today's video, we're going to be just going through the year on YouTube, talking about some things. I'll give you guys some feedback, some insights, maybe some stories, some of my favorite moments. Regardless, just sit back, have a drink. Right now, it's early in the morning, so I'm not having a drink. I'm having a Gatorade. But hey, sit back, have a drink. If you guys are recovering from a hangover, grab a Schwero or something and get recovered. And let's sit back and let's recap 2023 because it's been amazing. And that's all I'm going to say about that for now. Let's get started. Side note, new logo drop. How you guys enjoying the logo, right? We're doing a new intro. We got a logo. We got a few things going on. And we are also dropping a brand new YouTube series that you guys will start seeing, I think, next week. But we already got 2 videos recorded. I'm going to be recording more very soon. So we got some fun things on the way. Hopefully you guys are going to enjoy all that. But stay tuned. It's going to be a blast. Anyhow, I got my computer pulled up. I'm just on YouTube right now taking a look at all of our previous videos. So I'm just going to run through some of these. Hey, some of them might be really cool runs. Some of them may be kind of shitty runs. I mean, I don't think we really have any shitty runs, but you guys know what I mean, right? So let's see. First video of the year was it was a trip to Azusa. So we start off the year with a trip to Azusa. Now, Azusa was closed most of the year, so this was probably like one of the last trips before it was closed until summertime. But nothing crazy here. We were just messing around at the water crossing, having some fun, and then we're doing some little hill climbs, doing some stuff with that. Always fun in Azusa. Moving on, our New Year's run, which as you guys are watching this video, we're probably on our current New Year's run in Calico. Now, kicking off last year, we had our New Year's run in Cougar Buttes, which Cougar Buttes is a hell of a good time. So trail that we ended up hitting Hammer Down on Saturday or whatever, New Year's Eve, and then on New Year's Day we were just kind of camping out and we did a little bit of exploration. We hit some other trails and then we went home. Hammer Down Trail was a total blast. I think this was the first time that we ran Hammer Down Trail. Headed out there in Bruceberry. Had a good time with the team. We were running that V-notch, and we had a couple guys flip inside the V-notch. Like I said, it was our first time there, so kind of learning the line a little bit, and all that stuff. But good old time running that trail. And to be honest, we spent a lot of time in Cougar Buttes this year. And the reason being, Cougar Buttes is a lot of fun. We have a good time out there, and it's kind of like a really good off-road playground. So it is a great way to kick off the year, starting in Cougar Buttes with some hard lines. We also got to party it up with everybody overnight as we kick off the new year. I know that it was raining during the new year, and we were just all huddled up underneath an easy up, just kind of just chilling, having some beers, having some drinks, partying it up. It was a lot of fun. So we got 2 videos on Cougar Buttes. Then, as I said, Azusa did close down. So we had some heavy rains and we had some other stuff happen. So Azusa ended up getting closed down until further notice. So we did a recap on that. Then I did our first win/fails video. And I think I've only done 2 of these for the year. The video did okay. I don't know if that's something you guys want to see me do in the future, but pretty much what I did is I went and collected all of our footage from Cleghorn because look, I keep all of our footage, right? Look at this shit. Let me tell you something, guys. You see all these? This is 5 years of Dirt Nation off-road, and there's a couple more sitting over there. I keep everything, right? So what I did was I went into the books and we went and took a look at a bunch of Cleghorn footage. I put it all together, found some of the like biggest fails, the biggest wins, and just kind of like a highlight session of Cleghorn. It was me trying to work on creating more content to where I can create it here. I don't necessarily have to go out and spend funds off-roading and doing all that stuff. So we're able to just, kind of create a different perspective rather than just like, hey, let's go hit the trail. This is how the trail looks right now. I don't know how many times you guys want to see Cleghorn updated. You guys get what I'm saying. What I'm trying to say is tried something a little bit new. We did 2 of those for the year. We'll see another one a little bit later. But if you guys want to see that with more trails, first of all, comment below. And second of all, let me know what trails you'd like to see us do some wins and fails on in a future video. Next was probably a big highlight of the year, which is King of the Hammers. But before King of the Hammers, we did do a trip to Purdue Canyon, which was a Patreon run. Now, this was the quintessential Patreon run, like super good time. Went out, hit a new trail. We did a little bit of shooting beforehand because Purdue Canyon has its own range. So we did a little bit of shooting, ran the trail, then we ended up in Joshua Tree and got to hang out with everybody. So it was a good example of what a Patreon run looks like with Dirt Nation Off-Road. So if you guys want to see what you can expect with a Patreon run, check out our Purdue Canyon trail review because that is a good example of what we'll do on a Patreon run. Stock vehicle friendly, check out a new trail, hang out with everybody, have a good time, and then make sure we all get home safely. Good stuff. Continuing, King of the Hammers 2023. Oh man, I was on a binger for King of the Hammers. I ended up creating a video every single day for King of the Hammers that I was there, and I released those videos all within 1 week. Those videos did very well, good feedback, everybody loved the footage, and I found my own personal love for recording people at Chocolate Thunder because, yes, I've done it before. We go to Backdoor and we record stuff, but man, I absolutely love getting on Chocolate Thunder. Sitting there, you're able to see the 3 different lines. I'm able to avoid people when I need to, and kind of being able to record people, have a good time. It's awesome. So I look forward to doing that this year. Maybe I'll hit Chocolate Thunder in my rig this year. I mean, I know I could do it. I've done it a few times, but most of the time I love just capturing the footage. This is one of those opportunities where I can get videos of other people, right? There's plenty of times where I'll go out there and hit Chocolate Thunder, or I'll hit some obstacle, I'll do whatever. But this is one of those times where I can record other people, get people some footage, and really start, contributing to the community a little bit by showing off some of the cool rigs out there. So King of the Hammers was a blast. We'll be there again this year, and we'll have dates and all that stuff coming up very soon for those of you that want to join us for King of the Hammers. Moving on, we did a budget build on our tow pig. Now, more on the tow pig later, but yeah, we did a budget build on the tow pig in anticipation for King of the Hammers. Then we had an Azusa trip where that was the Azusa trip where I ended up smoking the clutch on Bruceberry, which is our Nissan Frontier, and that was the last time Azusa was open. I think that was in February. Next, we had a snow run at Cleghorn. This was like during the time where we got hit with the really big blizzard in Southern California. We had a ton of snow cover the entire area. I mean, areas of Lido Creek, Cleghorn, like they shut down the entire mountain range, which we'll talk about in a second, but it was pretty crazy. And we got called out for a recovery at Cleghorn because Cleghorn had like 5 or 6 vehicles stuck. So we ended up going out there, but another group was ahead of us and they ended up recovering the person. So we just kind of went out, had a good time, enjoyed the snow a little bit before the mountains actually got closed off. So it was nice being able to play in the snow a little bit before everything got closed, but all good stuff. Moving on, next we did a winch review for our Nissan Crawler. That was the Zeke 13,000 pound winch. Pretty cool winch, still have it on the truck. Next was TDS 2023. TDS is always a good time. There's ups and downs with TDS. That's Tierra del Sol. That's out in Ocotillo Wells. This was the 60th annual TDS. And hey, we went out there, had a good time. Now, it's always going to be windy out there. It's always going to be packed. There's always going to be idiots. There's going to be a lot of cops, border patrol. There's a lot of stuff going on in TDS. But hey, if you keep your nose clean, you have fun, and and you just act smart, you're going to have a good time at TDS. So we went out there, we did some trail stuff. We went out to Devil's Drop or Devil's Slide. We did the waterfall. We did the normal shenanigans in TDS. So always fun stuff there. Then we did our first Dirt Nation news video, which I did a couple of these. Same thing. I don't know if we're going to continue doing these videos. If you guys like them, let me know. We can keep doing news videos. But anytime there's like a big update, I do want to at least have a video available just to give you guys the news, give you guys updates. Maybe we'll do more of that in the future. As I said, we're working on a new series, so that's going to be taking up a lot of time in addition to the trail runs and the other things that we're doing here. But that news video was covering the closures. This was when they closed down every major mountain trail there was. San Jacinto, Los Angeles National Forest, Big Bear, which would be San Bernardino National Forest, all of that stuff ended up getting closed down. So Azusa, Big Bear, Pilot Rock, Lido Creek, Cleghorn, all of that stuff was closed down until further notice, which means we had to rely on the desert. We had to rely on some other areas to go off-roading. Next, we ended up doing a trip out to Parker. We did a review on some AST rock guards for the homie Temo's Jeep. We did a review on the Morphlate air compressor. Great air compressor, still using it. Next was return of our favorite rock crawler, which is Winchers. We did a 14-bolt swap on our Toyota pickup. The previous year on Thanksgiving, I broke the rear axle for the third time, and I was getting really tired of breaking axles, so we did a 14-bolt swap. So in that video, we put a Chevy 14-bolt from a 2004 Chevy 2500. We put that in the back of the truck, and with that we had to do gears, we had to do lockers, and then for the locker we just did like a welded Lincoln locker, then a new set of wheels, and then get all that set up, and then we got that truck finally going again. And then on the next video was when we did our run to Calico. Now, normally we would do this run later in the year, but we did this a little bit earlier in the year. We're pairing up with a couple groups as well as a shop. Now, this run I actually ended up bringing out my Yoda just to test out the 14-bolt, towed it out there. Turns out I ended up having an electrical issue where the vehicle would not start, it would not run, I could not get it to work. So that was an epic fail. I also was having audio issues galore. Luckily, we've started to figure out our audio issues to where the videos sound better now, and I appreciate that. But during this time, I was having a ton of microphone issues. First, I would break microphones. Second of all, every microphone that I bought would be absolute shit. I think I have one of them right here. This microphone, I think, is the one I used in that Calico video. I'm rambling. Piece of shit microphone. Don't buy it. It's on Amazon. Anyhow, part one for Calico was the epic fail. Winter's breaking, us trying to fix it. And then the second video, I think, will be probably one of my top moments of 2023. We'll have to check the rest of the year. But holy crap, our night run to Calico was an absolute blast. Now, in that video, I didn't drive, obviously. I was pretty much just riding passenger with Jeremy in his TJ, and I was recording. I did a little bit of driving. I got his Jeep stuck more than he's ever gotten it stuck, which is pretty interesting. But oh my gosh, that run was a hell of a good time. Now, night run videos don't typically do that well in terms of views, but oh my gosh, it was such a good time. And a top moment for me, which I'm going to click on, and I want to watch it right now, was we're getting towards later in the night. We were partying all night, having a good time on the trail. We were almost finished up, and Jeremy ended up trying this gnarly, crazy line, put the vehicle on its side with both of us in there, and the moment that me and him are sitting there laughing like little girls with the Jeep on its side, like I said, it might be the top moment of 2023 because that was so hilarious, so much fun. I'm inside. At this point in the video, we're like this, and then it just, yeah, we're like this, holding onto a rock. Video. Bam, on its side.
Turn it off, turn it off.
It's this right here, this.
What the fuck? Hey! You can take those up here. Hey, we almost fucking made it.
I know we did. We almost fucking made it. Oh, that's so good.
Did you cool it?
Now, the best part is that moment. I'd probably put like 30 seconds of like us there laughing, but we were there laughing for a good 2 minutes before we climbed out of the Jeep. Hell of a good time. If you guys haven't seen that video, I 100% recommend you go watch it. That is one of the top videos of the year. Such a good time. Moving on. Next, we did another news video. So Azusa's still closed, and then we started to do like a breakdown on the new Tacoma because the new Tacoma had just gotten dropped. So they did like an announcement and a video on it. So we were checking out the 4th gen Tacoma, giving my thoughts, my insights. Like I said, this is, I think, the second of 3 news videos. So, hey, let me know what you guys think of the news videos. Looking forward to your feedback on that. Next was, checked out a new trail, and that was Marble Canyon. Now, that's a trail on the backside of the San Bernardino National Forest. Now, luckily, that wasn't an area that was closed down, so we were able to go and wheel out there. So that's a cool little rock crawling trail. It's like a little wash with a bunch of rocks and stuff. So checked out that trail, had a good time. Next, we did another Patreon run, which is another great example of what a Patreon run is going to look like, and that's going to be our Last Chance Canyon trail review, where we went out, that's about 2 hours up north. Last Chance Canyon, I think, is up near Jawbone. Cool little trail that ends with a nice area with a bunch of mines and stuff. That one was the first run where we actually took out my girlfriend's Jeep because her Jeep was previously down for a long time. So we were able to get that back together. And that Jeep, we took it out, had a good time. We did the V-notch, we did some exploration, and that was a good old time. Next is another news video. We did some Big Bear trails opening back up because they did open up trails a little bit early as it started to warm up. They started to open some stuff back up. They didn't open everything. We just did a news video covering that. Next, we got into some Tacoma stuff because at this point I was trying to start using my Tacoma a little bit more because my Tacoma kind of sits on the backside now that, you know, we have 2 rock crawlers. We got the Toyota, we got the Nissan. So I don't use the Tacoma as much for like harder trails and stuff. I usually use that for like group runs or Azusa trips or, you know, scouting runs. So I wanted to get some work done on my Tacoma. So we ended up trying to do some things, and we had an experiment video where I tried some 700-pound springs from a Tundra on my Tacoma. Ended up causing some issues. We ended up finding out that my diff mount was bent. It was just a giant freaking mess. But with that, it ended up leading into some future stuff that we did with the Tacoma, which we'll get into in a second. Next was I did another news video covering the 4th Gen Tacoma at the official launch. We were talking about some of the specs, talking about the engine choices, all of that stuff. That video didn't do too well, surprisingly. I mean, we you know, there's a lot of people making videos at the time of the 2024 Tacoma, so it's definitely understandable. But same thing. What do you guys think of the news videos? Should we do more of it? Should we do something consistently? Should we stick to just breaking news, stuff that's important? You let me know. Next was a Cougar Buttes takeover. As I said, we spent a lot of time in Cougar Buttes. This run, we actually went out to just kind of go explore some new stuff because Cougar Buttes is a big, vast, giant area. There's a lot of rock formations. There's a lot of areas where you can do, you know, find some cool camp spots, find some rock crawling, do whatever you're going to do. So we wanted to come out and just kind of check out some stuff. So we went ahead and did that. And that will actually lead into a Cougar Buttes run that was another highlight of the year that we'll talk about a little bit later. That's our scavenger hunt. But this run was kind of like a preparation for that scavenger hunt. Next, we had a bachelor party in Johnson Valley. That was for our buddy Bryce. R.I.P. Bryce. We don't see him much anymore. Bryce, do you watch videos? Comment below. But we went out to Johnson Valley for a couple hours for his bachelor party. We had a couple of the other guys. We hit Chocolate Thunder. We hit Turkey Claw. We just had a good time in Johnson Valley, as we do. Next was leading into more Tacoma stuff, and that was where, hey, broke the Tacoma. I was trying to do some stuff. That led into me getting in communication with Wicked Creations, and we were able to do a long travel kit on our 2017 Tacoma, which, holy crap, I didn't know I would enjoy it as much as I did. Now, I had previously talked about long traveling Tacomas and all this stuff. And I'm just like, why would I do that when I can straight axle swap? I've kind of reversed my thinking on that. And that's due to a couple things. We made a video earlier this year talking about third gen Tacomas and kind of like a final review of my truck. Not a final review, but like an updated ownership review. And in that video, I talked about long travel versus straight axle swap on that truck, why it's a good idea, why it's not a good idea. But anyways, we ended up putting a 3.5-inch long travel kit from Wicked Creations on our Tacoma, and it is one of my favorite upgrades because that truck rides so nice, looks great, got a nice wide stance. It was a terrific upgrade for our Tacoma, and honestly, I look forward to continue building that truck and doing some cool stuff with it. Next, we have Azusa opening back up. Azusa opened up during like late spring, early summer. So we have a string of Azusa videos, and then we also have a couple other videos. This was a busy time for us, and we're doing a bunch of trail runs all at the same time. Usually springtime is like really good weather. It's right before summertime. So I usually stay pretty active during that time, try to host a lot of group runs. I'm doing a lot of wrenching. I'm doing a lot of upgrades because for summertime, I don't want to wrench. I don't want to work on anything. I don't want to do any upgrades. So I usually do all that during that time. Plus, because it's still good weather, you try to enjoy the desert a little bit. You try to enjoy some of those areas that you may not be able to enjoy during summertime. So there's always like a frantic push during late spring. But anyways, I digress. Had a couple Azusa trips. So Azusa had opened back up. Now, the first week that it opened up, we were not in town. We were out in Arizona for another video. We came back and then we went to Azusa 3 weeks in a row, and it was an absolute blast. Now, during those times, we had 100% unregulated mud. And what do I mean by unregulated? It means there was no barriers, there was nothing. We could go and just go run the mud wherever it was. And we had football fields worth of mud, which made for some of our more popular videos that we've ever made. You had all the heavy hitters out there just making giant passes with their big tires, big V8s, and it was a hell of a good time. So also to note with those Azusa trips, I ended up taking one truck each weekend. I broke one of them, I broke a second one, and then actually I broke all three of them. So Winters, I brought out the first weekend, I broke the transfer case, which absolutely sucked, but hey, that's what happens. Broke the transfer case. Second weekend, I don't remember which one I brought on what weekend, but I think second weekend I brought the Tacoma. I broke the actuator for the front diff, so I had to replace that. And then finally, I ended up breaking on Bruceberry, the Nissan, I ended up breaking the hub. That was the start of my hub issues. Thought I fixed it, went out on another trail run, and then really broke it, but we'll talk about that later. So, but 4 Azusa trips all in the same month made for a very, very busy month and a very fun month because the mud was at its absolute best, and we had a time limit to enjoy that because at a certain point they were going to block it off. So we went ahead and enjoyed it while we could, and then once they created that barrier, we did an update and did the normal things that we do for Azusa. Now, during that time, we had a couple other runs. First, we did kind of like a trail update for Gold Mountain. Took the Tacoma out there. This was probably the first run where I was able to take out the Tacoma with its new long travel, so I got to see how it flexes, how it does all that stuff. So we went out to Gold Mountain with a couple of the homies from Arizona, had a good time out there. Then we took part in Bronco Bash 2023. We ended up going out there with Rob. He had signed up for one of the trails out there. It's called Wild Horse Meadow Trail. So did a trail review on that. I mean, it's not a very special trail. It's kind of like a fire road, but nonetheless, cool time going out there. We got to see some cool Broncos. We got to talk with some of the Bronco Bash guys, or I forgot the group name is, SoCal Broncos or something like that, but all good stuff. We got to have a good time with them. Then we had our overland adventure to Williams, Arizona and Sedona. I think this was our only overland adventure for the year. Now, our overland adventure series of videos is those videos where I usually try to put a little bit more time in terms of editing into them. I usually try to make it a little bit more cinematic, just try to put a little kind of a different touch on those videos. We first started that back in 2021. We don't go overlanding much. It's just, we like doing it, but it's not always in the books to do it, right? We're mainly like a SoCal group, so traveling outside of SoCal and exploring trails is something we like to do, but we can only get to do it a couple times a year. So this was our overland adventure for the year. Sedona was a good time. Now, I ended up giving some feedback on Sedona that as much as I enjoy it, I also didn't enjoy the fact that it was kind of like, I don't know, it's kind of a burned spot, and it's super touristy. All the off-road trails are right next to in town, which is good in some ways, but in other ways, it's just like, it's super packed. It's super regulated. It's kind of fucking corporate. I'm not going to sit here and like stomp all over Sedona because it's a beautiful area. It was worth the drive. It was worth the trail, and I had a good time with it. But I did leave with kind of like, do I really need to do that again? Hey, maybe not, just because of some of the things that I saw. But if you guys want more info on that, check out the Sedona video. We had a good time nonetheless, and it was a great video. Next is some more Tacoma stuff. We did a makeover on the front end. Now, in our Azusa videos where we did like the 4 trips in 1 month, one of the things I did break on the Tacoma was I was coming up like a really steep hill, and I couldn't make it up on my own, so I had to winch up. And as I was winching, I didn't notice, or everybody that was watching me didn't really tell me, my tire was pinned against like a part of the hill. It was kind of undercut, so I couldn't winch over it. So I ended up winching my bumper off. So I ended up breaking the welds on my bumper. So I had to redo everything. So we went out to JM Fab, and he made an entirely new bumper for us. So we dropped off the Tacoma with him for a couple weeks. He redesigned an entirely new bumper with a more high clearance mounting system, and it was a fully tubular bumper. Tucked up everything nice and tight to where we have a bunch of clearance. Looks much better. A much cleaner look than what we had before. Stronger and more lightweight. So super happy. It's the bumper that we run now, and that's the bumper that we'll be running for the foreseeable future. Next was our 4th of July run. We ended up going out to Cleghorn. We had a 40+ rig run. Took out the ladies' Jeep for that one. That was a fun time. Then we did a review on a soundbar. Cool soundbar, still running it on the Nissan. Then we get into rock crawling shenanigans. It's summertime, which means it is time for the Hardline Heat Tour. So we started our 2nd annual Hardline Heat Tour. The year before, we had launched it, and it ended up being a grueling marathon of 7 runs back to back every 2 weeks. Some of them long distance, some of them a little bit closer. Regardless, it was a rough year. It was a rough couple months. But we decided to come back and do the same thing this year. So we ended up having 5, I guess 6 runs, you could call it, for the Hardline Heat Tour. So first things first, we did a Hardlines warm-up in Big Bear. We ended up going out to Holcomb Creek. So kind of did that. We got to run winchers, and we ran a couple other, rigs, and just got to go have a good time out at Holcomb. Ended up being a smooth run. No issues. But more on Holcomb later because, oh boy, it gets pretty crazy. Next, we're back in Cougar Buttes. Once again, we did a night run at Hammerdown. Now, Hammerdown was a trail that we ran for New Year's last year, and that trail was so much fun that I decided that, hey, we need to come back here for a night run. So this was kind of the first really hot day of the year. It was like 105, 110 degrees all day. Started to cool down a little bit at night, but we got out there at nighttime, ran the trail. I ended up trying one of the buggy lines with my Nissan. Broke the Nissan on the way home. I ended up roasting the hub so bad that the locking hub seized to the end of the axle shaft to where I couldn't take anything apart. I ended up having to cut it all apart and put it all back together with all new parts, or an all new to me parts, junkyard stuff or whatever. But that was, good run, but that Nissan was down for a long time. I actually just fixed it last week. Still working on a couple other things with it, but that Nissan's getting back in the rotation now, and you guys will see that coming up because we just broke the Yoda, so now we're going to use the Nissan. But the Nissan, this was the last run with the Nissan for the year, coming out to Cougar Buttes and absolutely thrashing on it. And I ain't mad at that because we had a good time. Next, we did a rock crawling essentials. We did gear and equipment, tools you need for a long trip. This was in anticipation for our Fordyce trip. But before our Fordyce trip, we actually did a video to Lido Creek. So we did kind of a pop-up takeover for Lido Creek. And that ended up being our very first trail feature, which this video did pretty well. So I plan to do more trail features in the future. Now, what a trail feature is, as opposed to a trail review. Trail review is run the trail, videos, get videos of everybody, blah, 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 blah. Trail features, I try to make a little bit shorter. I try to make it short and sweet, to the point, giving information and kind of cinematic highlights of the trail. That way people can watch it, understand what the trail is, what they can expect, and have a kind of a short look at that. Next is going to be Fordyce, and holy crap, Fordyce was a blast. Probably another one of our highlights of the year. Now, we had a peak and then an instant fucking valley. And we'll talk about that in a second, but Fordyce was a good time. Ended up running Fordyce in a day and a half. We ran all the wind chills. Luckily, we didn't have any serious breaks. I think we had one, a shock mount break, and that was about it. Ran that trail, Had a great time. There was only 3 of us, so we were able to move quickly. And honestly, just check out the 2 videos we have from Fordyce because it was some of the best wheeling, some of the best hard trails that we've ran probably ever. In between our 2 Fordyce videos, we have another Tacoma video. We did a MagnaFlow exhaust install. Now, I had previously liked the exhaust that I had, but like I said, I was trying to make some changes to the Tacoma, trying to update it a little bit, and my Tacoma has been loud for the longest time. I ran a Flowmaster, I think it was a Super 10 on the truck, so I wanted to quiet down a little bit, so we ended up putting on the Overland Series exhaust from MagnaFlow, and I really like the exhaust. Works well. Since then, I've gotten better gas mileage. I've gotten much more consistent performance, and it just drives nice. It's not well, I mean, it did vibrate before, but it's not no cabin drone. It's not loud, and it has just enough of a deep grumble to where you can still hear it and you still know that it has an exhaust, but it's not so excessive. Then we had an Azusa trip where we did an update after Hurricane Hillary, although it wasn't really a hurricane. It was kind of just like heavy rain and all that stuff, but went out to Azusa, had a good time in some of the mud hills and doing some of that stuff. Then after Fordyce was our epic fail. So Fordyce brought us all the way up here to where things went so well that holy crap, what could happen next? Well, things went well, and then they plummeted. Because at Rubicon, Jeremy ended up breaking his rear locker within the first hour of us running the trail. And it was only me and him on the trip, so I ended up just leaving. So we ended up having the shortest run to the Rubicon ever. Probably not the shortest ever, but that's what I call it. All fun stuff. Next, we did a video working on our pickup. We actually got some brand new 40s for it, and the tires didn't fit too well, so I just did a quick video on how to trim. Not even how to trim in a good way. I just hit it with the grinder and did all that stuff. I was just trying something a little different, right? How not to fit 40-inch tires on your truck. Next, things had kind of slowed down a little bit. We were working on quite a few things all at the same time behind the scenes, so I know during this time I wasn't uploading as much. I was still trying to put out a video every week, but we have an Azusa trip, never a dull moment in Azusa Canyon. That's where I brought winchers out. We were playing in the mud hills. Just a regular trip to Azusa. Nothing too crazy, but always a good time. Then we had an extras video from Fordyce where me and the squad spent like a half hour trying to split a log with a chisel, a crowbar, and a sledgehammer. Not an axe. No, of course we didn't use an axe. So we were trying to split a fat log with the stupidest tools, and it kicked our butts, and it was a good time. Now, that video, I recommend watching it. It's 13 minutes, and it is just so stupidly funny. It was a good old time. Next, we did a power station review for the Powerness Hiker 1500. Cool power station. That was the first big power station that I reviewed. You can run appliances, you can run power tools off of it, you can run a TV and a Nintendo Switch, so you can play Mario Kart, you can do a bunch of cool stuff. That was a good old time. Next is, I'm going to say another highlight of the year for me, and that was our scouting run at Cougar Buttes, because we were leading into our scavenger hunt. So we did a scouting run at Cougar Buttes in anticipation for the scavenger hunt. And then we drove to Backdoor out in Johnson Valley because at this time, this was after all the heavy rains, and Backdoor had gotten filled in just naturally. It got filled in about a foot and a half. So instead of a 10-foot waterfall, it's now a 8.5 to 9-foot waterfall. And we had seen that it looked a little bit easier. So I was like, hey, this is a good opportunity for me to head out there. Let's see how it looks. Maybe we'll try it. And we sure did that. So that was a good time. We ended up meeting the founder of King of the Hammers. He spotted me a Backdoor. I made Backdoor. Yes, I know for all you that watch a video, that's considered half door. Regardless, it was a hell of a time. And honestly, probably within the top 3, along with that Calico run. I'm going to put that one in the top 3 because that was a highlight of my year. Just being able to try that obstacle. Yes, we have to go back and do it when it's legit Backdoor, but for now, we did it as is. I've never claimed to be an expert rock crawler. I'm still learning. Still a beginner when it comes to Johnson Valley trails. So that was a high moment for me to try it, do the obstacle as it was, and we'll have to head back out there soon. Next was 2 of some of our better runs of the year. First one was the Ironman Challenge. That was our off-road marathon in Big Bear, where we ran the 4 main off-road trails. We ran Gold Mountain, John Bull, Holcomb Creek, and Dishpan. Now, this one was a semi-fail because we didn't finish the challenge. The previous year that we ran the challenge, we did finish it, took 17 hours. This one, we ran for about 16 or 17 hours, and we only made it through 3 trails because Holcomb Creek, which we started our hardline heat tour with, didn't look too bad, but after all the rains and all the things that were happening during the year, Holcomb Creek was screwed up. There was one obstacle. We spent 5 hours at the obstacle trying to get everybody through, and it ended up just becoming a full-blown shit show, which is fine. That's how it goes sometimes. No complaints, but it was a fun run regardless, and I look forward to 2024. We're going to do the Ironman Challenge again. You bet your ass we're going to do it again, because that is now becoming a staple of the things that we're doing here at Dirt Nation Offroad. Next is another one that I'm going to throw in there with the top 3 moments, and that's going to be the off-road scavenger hunt. The scavenger hunt was one of those events where normally we go out, we rock crawl, we go have a good time, we run a trail. This was different. And that's what I liked about it so much. It was more of a community event. You know, we put a list together of some different things for tasks for people to complete. First person to complete those tasks, we ended up giving them a Carnage welder. And it ended up just being one of the funnest events that we've ever hosted. It looks like everybody had a great time. You know, there was a lot of anticipation for the event. There was a mad scramble at the end to see who won and who ended up winning. And we gave away a bunch of stuff. It was a good camping event. It was just so much fun, and I will absolutely be incorporating more scavenger hunts in 2024. Hey, if you guys want to suggest some places for a scavenger hunt, maybe some prizes, maybe some tasks, let me know. I'm always interested in ideas and picking people's brains about what are the things that you want to see on this channel. Next was our second trail feature. Now, we did a trail feature / tent review, and we went out to Anza-Borrego. That was also a Patreon run, so we did like a 3-in-1 type deal, which was pretty good time. But we ended up reviewing a new tent, a tent that I don't have anymore, and we'll talk about that later. But ended up being a very fun trip. We went out to Anza-Borrego, we camped on Fish Creek, and we really didn't do much. We literally just camped, hung out with the squad. I did a trail feature on Anza-Borrego Fish Creek area because it's such a cool camping area. It's so unique, and it's like one of the best desert getaways in Southern California. So we did a little bit of a video on that. Then we did a review on the tent. So fun stuff there. Then we had a couple of Azusa trips. We ended up having some good mud in Azusa, so we went out there and checked it out, give you guys a updated trail review for the canyons. Then we also went out to Lytle Creek again, where we did a trail maintenance video with Rigged for Dirt and Tread Lightly. So Rob, who's one of our guys, he was in contact with some people, and they needed some help with some trail maintenance. They had to move some boulders, close off some areas that you're not supposed to drive through on Lytle Creek, and just some like general upkeep of the trail. So we went out there and helped with that. Good time, always good working with other groups. We don't do that enough, honestly, and that's something that I want to start to do more. But also, we're independent, and I love it. And we do a lot of good things on our own, but hey, getting with other groups is never a bad thing. Continuing, we had ourselves another Patreon run. So we ended up heading out to Lucerne Valley. This was shortly after our 5-year anniversary. So this was kind of our 5-year anniversary run. Did a Patreon run. We started in Cougar Buttes. We made our way north in Lucerne Valley up Camp Rock Road. Along the way, checking out some different areas. It ended up being a very, very fun run for a couple reasons. First of all, I broke the Tacoma in an epic way because I was mobbing on the truck all day. I was sitting there hammering on it because at this point, I hadn't really tested out the long travel very much. So I wanted to really have some fun with it. So we were mobbing, having a good time with the long travel, and then we ended up finding like one small little crawling section, and I ended up hitting a rock, breaking a tie rod. So we had to do a trail fix with the tie rod, and we ended up fixing it. All was good. We also had I put a semi feature on a Ford Explorer because we had a full-blown 2014 Ford Explorer that the homie Saul brought out, and we were having a good time making fun of that thing and just watching that, trying to get through some obstacles. It was a fun video. Check it out. You're definitely going to love it. Next is going to be another top moment, and that's going to be Johnson Valley Thanksgiving weekend. We ended up doing a total of 4 videos from Johnson Valley. Now, the first one, we didn't do them in order. I usually try to get out the backdoor video the quickest because that's the video that's going to do the best. That's the one people are looking for. So we did our video on Backdoor Bash. And hey, Backdoor Bash is always a good time. It's not as crazy as it used to be. The first time we went out to Backdoor Bash, there was thousands of people there. There was rigs lined up for days. It's not like that anymore. There's a reason for that. just some idiots out there that kind of ruined the fun for everybody. But regardless, Backdoor Bash is a good time, so we made a video on that. Then we had a couple trail videos. First, we took a stab at Jackhammer, which is one of the harder trails in Johnson Valley. I ended up breaking my rig going up the main obstacle on that trail. So once I got to the top, broke the locker. So I had to back down the entire trail, and we ended up turning the whole group around. We went over to Chocolate Thunder, and we got some highlights over there. Caught a rollover. We did some other stuff, and just kind of ended the video there. Then later that night, we made another video on a night run to Turkey Claw. Turkey Claw is always a good time. Anytime you go out to JV, it's kind of mandatory to run Turkey Claw because there's always going to be a shit show. There's going to be somebody stuck. There's going to be somebody broken. And that's just kind of how it goes. So went out to Turkey Claw, had some fun. And then the next day was probably the highlight of the entire trip. And that was a run to Clawhammer. Now, Clawhammer was a new trail for us. Hadn't ran it before. We were originally going to run another trail. We ended up running this one. And that ended up being a hell of a good time. Now, that trail, I ended up walking the entire trail. I did not drive because my truck was broken. I only could use two-wheel drive at the time. So I went and parked my truck at the Gatekeeper and walked the entire trail so I could get as much footage of everybody. And that was a fun trip. We had a nice ragtag group of vehicles. We had a couple of Jeep Wranglers. We had an XJ on 33s. We had a Samurai on like 33s. And then we had, Adam's YJ, which he broke in epic proportions. We had George's F250, which had to recover the YJ. Ended up just being a blast of a run and a great way to cap off that trip. Getting close to the end here, we ended up doing another Tacoma video, one where we did an updated ownership review on the 3rd gen Tacoma after 135,000 miles, and we also tore off the wrap on the Tacoma, so now it does not have its signature look anymore. It's back to all black. Truck's looking good. We're going to keep it like that for a little bit, and then we'll see what happens in the future, but Tacoma video ended up doing very well. People have a lot of good feedback on Tacomas. People enjoyed the honesty in that video because I was very honest about how Tacomas are. They're great trucks, but they're also fragile, and they do have their problems. But regardless, it's probably the best midsize pickup out there. ZR2s, shut up. I'm just kidding. ZR2 is a good truck. It's a good truck. But the ZR2 guys are giving me so much shit in this video, which is understandable. That's kind of like the long-term feud is between those two, but come at me, bro. Next, we did another Anza-Brigo run. We ended up doing that with a Jeep shop out in Temecula called Jeep Doctor. So that was a big 40 rig run. I kind of did like a highlight video on that run. Didn't do a full-blown video, but regardless, had a good time with that. And then we had our final trip to Azusa Canyon for the year. That was a hell of a good time. You watch us drain a lake in order to create mud. We had Joey in Tatanka Offroad's Monster Ranger F250 freaking Isuzu diesel Duramax built freaking crazy thing. He was going crazy all day with the hill climbs. It was a hell of a good time. I recommend you check out that video. And then finally is the Carnage Welder review. And a great way to end the year because I started off the year with getting that welder. And hey, it carried me through the entire year with all the cool stuff that we did, the rock crawling trails, the repairs, all of that stuff. So a great way to cap off the year. Now with all that, I say it's been a blast. It's been a very, very fun time, a very good time. Now, backtracking a little bit to Johnson Valley Thanksgiving weekend, we had something really shitty happen. My tow pig, a trailer that I was borrowing, my tent, rack, and a bunch of other stuff ended up getting stolen. I ended up getting the tow pig back, although the tow pig is in bad shape and needs some work. Still currently works, but it needs some work. It's really shitty to have your stuff stolen, and I'll be honest, I spent a good amount of time just being very, very, very discouraged. When you work your ass off to build a life and to build good things for yourself, and then somebody just fucking steals it, and they get away with it. Nobody's been caught so far. Police don't do shit. I know all you back the blue people out there are going to be like, well, they don't this, they don't that. I understand. Believe me, I'm not anti-cop, not anti-anything. It just sucks having your shit jacked, and it sucks being put in that situation, and I know you guys can understand that. But we ended up having that little bit of a low right there. It is what it is. Regardless, we have some good things coming for next year. As I said, we're kicking off the new year with this video. We're getting the ground running. Right now, we're in freaking Calico having a hell of a good time, right? Dropping our new logos. We're dropping a new series. You guys will see those videos coming up very, very soon. And we're going to continue doing other stuff. I want to launch some new stuff for Patreon, which I have the rest of this week. You know, I'm recording this right now, but I still have more time until the new year. So I'm going to get some stuff together for Patreon, because an important part of continuing to do the things that we do here is to build Patreon. That's all fun stuff, but hey, 2023 is wrapped. I had a blast with this year. I know you guys did too. Hopefully you guys are having a safe and fun holiday season. Much love to all you guys. As always, I appreciate the support. I appreciate in any way that you support this channel, right? Watching videos, liking videos, commenting on videos. Hey, you throwing hate on videos, I appreciate you too, right? If you're showing support by, participating on Patreon, if you're buying merch, if you're just buying stickers, if you just walk up to me, shake my hand and say, Dustin, I really like your videos, I appreciate all that stuff. And I just want to say thank you guys for all of that, and Happy New Year, Happy Holidays, Merry Christmas, all of that fun stuff. And we look forward to 2024, where we continue to kick things off and grow this community. That's what it's all about. But that's going to be it for this video. As I said, if you guys want to support the things we're doing here on Dirt Nation Off-Road, check us out on our merch store, which is going to be our Big Cartel, link down below for all our great merch options. We just dropped some new hoodies. I'm actually going to pick those hoodies up right now. I'll throw a photo on. But picking up those new hoodies, those will be available. We have a couple different colors, a couple different size options. And then if you guys want to check us out on Patreon, that is a great way to support the things we're doing here. You get exclusive access to all things Dirt Nation Off-Road, as well as extra trail runs and some other good stuff happening. But that's going to be it for this video. New Year's wrap up. Thank you guys so much. We'll see you again next time.